Welcome to the Family Office Success Podcast, where we explore the strategies, the insights, and the best practices that help families and their advisors build and manage successful family offices. I am your host, Christy Van Wright, and each episode, we dive into the key elements of running a family office. Whether you're a family looking to structure your advisory team for long-term success, or you're a professional managing the complexities of a multi-generational enterprise. From financial oversight and operational efficiency to selecting the right advisors and creating a lasting legacy, this podcast is here to provide practical guidance and expert perspectives. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Family Office Success Podcast, where we talk all things family office. I think you're going to love this one, but also because of what he and the company that he works with can provide to entrepreneurials and entrepreneurial families. So today we are talking with Terry Pham with Superpowers. And I'm going to let Terry give you a little bit more information about what Superpowers is and how they step in and can be helpful. But today's conversation is really about knowing when to raise your hand to ask for help. If you ever feel like you're the hamster on the wheel, if you ever feel like you might be the frog in the boiling water, if you've ever said to yourself, I wonder if there's a different way, or this should be a whole lot easier, I think you're going to really enjoy today's conversation. So with that, Terry, welcome to the Family Office Success Podcast. I am so excited to chat with you again. We've had several conversations and I've learned something every time we chat because you just drop these little nuggets everywhere. And I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that. And you just have so many good ideas. And so welcome. Thank you for being here. Would you please just give our listeners a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just a little snippet on Superpowers, because they're definitely going to get a feel for it as we go through our conversation.
Absolutely. Christy, thank you for having me. It's always so much fun. So just a little bit about me. I've been an entrepreneur for over a couple decades. I'm involved in two businesses. I've got a food and beverage company here in Dallas, Texas called Fat Straws. It's kind of a main business. And I'm also working at Superpowers. My role is the community champion. So what I do is, one, create awareness about Superpowers. A lot of my time is spent working with existing clients and their executive assistants. And so the mission of Superpowers is taking successful entrepreneurs and helping them achieve new levels of freedom and growth. And we do that with finding an entrepreneur and getting an incredible EA that is really an anticipatory, proactive EA, kind of someone who's looking around corners and unlocking that freedom and growth for them. And so a lot of my time is spent doing coaching around this topic of delegation, which is something we all know we should do. I think delegation is very much a skill, and there is an art a little bit to delegation. That's something we spend a lot of time with our clients, helping them think about things a little bit differently and how do we unlock and get leverage through delegation.
Full disclosure, I have used Superpowers in the past, and the quality of folks that you guys are able to recruit and then train and then give them the community to be a part of. It took so much off of me as the entrepreneur to think, I always felt like if I was going to bring someone into my company, that I needed to be able to give them something, not just a job, not just tasks. Like I needed to give them something back. I needed to if they decided to move on, I want them to leave me better than than they found me.
Absolutely.
Or I want to leave them better than when they came to me. And my goodness, but that also puts a lot of pressure to educate and to help grow them as a person in their workplace. And you guys did it for me. It was amazing.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, I don't have enough good, amazing things to say about Superpowers. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you guys. But we're going to take this conversation and we're going to direct it to all of you entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial families to talk about, when do you raise your hand? Because it's like the hardest thing to do, to know when to raise your hand. We do different work, obviously. family office side and Superpowers in a EA role. But at the end of the day, we're both here to serve families. And a lot of times, families don't know when to raise their hand to ask for services. An entrepreneur doesn't always recognize it's time to ask for help. There's a better way to do something. And so in a lot of respects, we walk down the same path with business owners and entrepreneurs and families to help educate that there is a different way to do something. There's a reason to bring someone in to let go, and because it allows you to grow in so many more incredible ways that you wouldn't necessarily get the opportunity to do if you keep going at it alone. So I want to start with this concept of the fire extinguisher. So we've talked about this multiple times, right? And so every time we talk about it, I'm like, yeah, fire extinguishers. How many fire extinguishers have I collected over the years, right? It's just, you just do it as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. Sure. It just happens.
We love that analogy. I mean, one of the things we just kind of set the table is like, we can go fast alone, but we can go further together. And I think people who've had growth and success in any domain in their life, whether they're an entrepreneur, in their family life, however it is, they didn't go at it alone typically. But a lot of people get a lot of success because they have this kind of rugged individualist mentality. I resonate with that a lot, of just having to be someone who had to figure things out. So the thing that I tend to value in myself, I expect that of others. So I value my ability to be gritty, to be able to figure things out. And I get frustrated when others don't actually figure things out the same way I do. And I've learned through my leadership journey, being an entrepreneur, that I have to learn to, one, communicate properly with people and set clear expectations. But when we talk about the fire extinguisher, again, like for me, when I started my business, these conversations I had with all these other entrepreneurs who started their businesses, early on, they were the business. If there's a service they offer, they're the sales engine, they're the CEO, and I say they're the janitor as well. They do everything. Yeah. And so as time goes on, teams start to grow, they add more things. The analogy I use is as your surface area increases, right? So a lot of your clients, as the complexity of their lives grow, assets grow, surface area increases. The more surface area we have, the more time and attention that's needed for that. And when problems come about or a fire comes about, we're often the ones who have the fire extinguisher. And as time goes on, we start accumulating more of these fire extinguishers. And at some point, we become the bottleneck. We're hoarding all these fire extinguishers because we're the only ones who can solve the problem. And that's usually a good signal, because if we're the bottleneck, and the bottleneck, if you look at the bottle, it's at the top, right? The bottleneck is usually at the top of an organization or top of a family. And so when we recognize that we become the bottleneck and we're hoarding all these fire extinguishers, our goal is to make sure, how do we start to offload some of these so that I'm not the only person who can solve this problem? So that looks like, how do I delegate this thing? Oftentimes, again, being that rugged individualist, it feels like there's a lot of friction. I don't have the time to teach someone. I'll just fix this and do it on my own really quickly. And so over time, again, as we start to build systems, processes, and structures in place in our businesses or the way we operate our families, our goal is to start to delegate out some of these fire extinguishers so we're not the only ones holding them. And what's interesting about entrepreneurs, as our lives grow, as they get more complex, we often hear this term work-life balance for entrepreneurs. If you're an entrepreneur, you know that this seesaw is never perfect. I like to think of it more as we live an integrated life. There are some seasons where we're very heavily involved in our businesses and maybe not able to spend quite as much time with our families. And there's other times maybe we've experienced some freedom and growth and we can spend more of that time with our families. But living that integrated life, we're able to do that when we're properly supported, one on the business side and on the family side as well.
Yes, that is so true. The work-life balance is definitely not something that I have ever found. So when you said the integrated, that clicked for me personally, because it's true. There are seasons, and there are seasons where you're just like, your head is down and you're moving forward, and you have to give yourself a little bit of grace for those seasons if it's not exactly what you want, and know that season you will move through it. and a new
It's
season
true.
will come, and perhaps that's the one that you can choose to do more focus or have more focus on family time or whatever it is that really brings you a different kind of joy. I'm going to take a guess that a lot of entrepreneurs like me find a lot of joy in what we do,
Absolutely.
which is also one of the reasons why we start collecting fire extinguishers. And then one day we look up and we're like, oh, I shouldn't be the one making this. This doesn't need to come across my desk to make the decision.
For sure.
Okay, so let's talk about some delegation roadblocks, because certainly I'm in the camp of it's hard to know what to delegate, because a lot of times you're like, you know what, I'll just do it. It'll take me 2 minutes and it'll take me 10 to teach somebody, not thinking far enough down the road because you're just trying in that moment to get it done. And families often feel the same way. I can pay the bills. I do it. It doesn't take me that long. I'll just do it. I don't want to have to teach somebody else how to do it. So whenever you're working with entrepreneurs and you're working with the EAs to teach them how to work with, because that's a big part of what Superpowers does, is teaching these
Absolutely.
people how to interact with the entrepreneur, the family. How do you bring them along? Talk to me a little bit about this delegation roadblock concept and how you
Yeah.
move people through it.
We've identified, I'd say, 5 what we see in our business, the 5 most common. These aren't the only delegation roadblocks, but these are the ones we see most frequently. I think the first one is exactly what you said. It takes too much time. It takes too much time to delegate it. It takes too much time to teach someone. It takes me 5 minutes. I'll do it myself. And what I always tell people is let's take that and break that into a math problem. If it took you 5 minutes, but you did it 100 times a year, that's 500 minutes. 500 minutes is about 8.5 hours. So are we potentially losing a day of our year, a work day of our year, because we're not willing to spend 30 minutes or an hour teaching someone how to do something so we never have to do it again? And if you compound that times how many other 5-minute things, we could be literally losing days per year because we're not willing to let go. And I think that's one of the first key things whenever we're looking at getting support, whether it's a family, whether it's an entrepreneur, getting support on the family side, getting support on the business side. The hardest thing, because we've probably had a lot of success by being really great at controlling the things that we want to control. And so the first thing is just kind of letting go a little bit. What we always say, there's a little bit of surrender that has to happen. It's letting go of some of these things, but having more of a kind of what we call abundance mindset is like me actually letting go of more things is going to allow me to spend more of my time and energy in the places that give me energy, that I love doing these things, and I'm going to get excellent results. That's truly your superpower, or Dan Sullivan calls it your unique ability. Patrick Lencioni calls it your zone of genius. Whatever term you want to use, the more time we can spend in that, that's when we're going to get a lot of incredible results, but we're going to also love doing what we do. The second one we see often is, I didn't know I could delegate this. And I'll use something that is probably more relevant for it. We see it in our clients, but it's really more on the personal side. So this is really, I think, right in the sweet spot of a lot of your clients is maybe there's some things that, again, depending on how you grew up, like, I can take care of this myself. I'm not going to give this to anyone, but what are some things I didn't think about delegating? And we've got a client who had this really great vision, I thought, for wanting to have amazing family dinners. He wanted it to be a time of connection, to build depth of relationship, no screens. And his vision was like, we're going to cook dinner together every single night. But the minutia of planning meals, recipes, buying ingredients, it was just too much friction for him. So what he did was he had his EA contact his spouse and all of his children and say, what do you guys want on the menu for this week or for the next month? And then he would print out recipe sheets for them. And then he would order all the ingredients, have them delivered so no one had to go to the grocery store. So then they could just show up and participate and get the value out of cooking family dinners together without all the gymnastics of recipes, sourcing ingredients. And it's just had a huge impact on his life. Family's closer, they're getting great time together, and he's still able to do it, but that's just something he never thought he could delegate, right?
Such a good idea, by the way.
Yeah. Another one, Stephen Nooner, he's one of our partners here at Superpower, is one of my best friends. He has completely outsourced all of his social media to his EA. For him, Social media can be a big distraction. Social media can put him in a negative headspace, maybe reading too much of negativity, political commentary, whatever it is. But what he found was, so by getting away from it and not having it on his phone, he was missing out on seeing all the great stuff that actually social media can bring. And in some cases, he was missing out on wedding invitations, birthday invitations, and there's no way he would ever miss those. But because he wasn't on social media, he missed weddings, he missed birthday parties. And so what he did was he had his EA say, hey, I'm going to give you access to all my accounts. You're going to scrub LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, everything every week. You're going to give me a summary. And here's my top 50 or 100 people I want to follow. So he could see, hey, Christy went on a vacation, or Christy's done this new thing in her business, which is really cool. And his EA will scrub it, and then he can curate content, and she'll drip dose that over the next week or over the next month. So he's getting the value of social media without getting sucked into the negativity. And again, that's something we didn't think I could outsource. And it's not any less impersonal. He's still posting, he's still putting content out there, but it's just something he didn't think he could delegate. And that's another unique one that's on the personal side.
That was genius. That was genius.
The third one is nobody can do this but me. And what we say about this is, if that's true, if that's your superpower, your unique ability, your zone of genius, absolutely continue doing that. But if it's maybe something that you like doing, but you're not willing to let that go, we would challenge that and say maybe someone else could do that, because if you're spending time doing it, you're not spending enough time in your unique ability or your superpower. And so that's the second one. And the last two, these I think live a little bit more in our identity. This one shows up for me is I actually enjoy doing the thing and I don't want to give it up. And where I find for myself that's a roadblock, I actually use that as a procrastination tool. What that means is I see something on my list. It's a quick win. I know I'll do it. I'll get pretty good results. I get that quick dopamine hit of checking something off my list. But in reality, I'm avoiding either doing something I don't want to do that I have to do, or I'm avoiding spending time thinking and doing kind of the hard work to plan out whatever my vision is in the business or my family life. And so I generally don't give that up, because if I give this up, then I have to kind of do the things I don't want to do, or do the things that I know I need to be doing that what I would say are important, but maybe not as urgent. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Eisenhower's matrix, or some people call it Covey's 4 quadrants. That's a classic quadrant 2, not urgent, important. And I think if people get to spend more time in that quadrant 2, that's where they see a lot of benefit, because that's the thing that's the easiest thing to punt. So for me, I'll go chase the thing that I enjoy doing, that I'm pretty good at, so I don't have to spend time in quadrant 2. And then the last one is, I don't believe I deserve this level of support. Even people who've hired an EA, even someone who's hired someone to manage to, be a family integrator, that can still show up in very specific tasks. That could come from, I'm willing to let these things go, but this is, I don't want it. For me, it showed up as, I don't ever want to have what I call the glass tower. I'm kind of sitting, I don't want to feel like I'm too important, right? So I don't want to let go of some of these things. Like, I'm not big timing anyone. So I'm a little bit reluctant to let go of some things. And so even when I have support, I'll share something really silly. My EA, I recently had her start to schedule my haircut appointments. And seems silly, like, why wouldn't you do that? But for me, there was this friction of like, I can do that on my own. Why would I give her to do that? But being able to remove that little thing and just automate it, not have to think about it, has given me so much more freedom. Because what ends up happening is, I think about it when it's late and I'm doing all these calendar gymnastics, trying to schedule haircuts. I'm texting her when the calendar feels like, do you have an open slot? And I'm just spending so many brain cycles on something that I shouldn't be spending my time on. And that's another area where I felt like I didn't deserve support in that. And I've thankfully changed that for myself. And it's been incredible being able to let go of those things.
And your hair looks great, by the way. So
thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're right. It's those little things. I mean, it's as simple as, oh, I need to go put that on the grocery list, or I need to add toothpaste to the grocery list. And rather than just do it then, or, add it to the list for whoever's going into town, you're like, no, I'll grab it. And then a week goes by and you're like, and I still need a toothpaste. Why didn't I just order it immediately?
I mean,
for whatever
even
reason.
a
I
buddy
don't
of
know.
mine, and this may resonate with some of your clients. I mean, he has a lake house, and he told me it took him 2 years to get it finally where it felt like his. But he said he spent so much time and energy. He's like, the surface area increased. He's like, I don't just have one lawn to mow. I have two lawns to mow. I don't have two
Huh?
sets of property taxes. I mean, one set of property taxes. I got two set of property taxes. And so he wanted to go and enjoy being down there with his family. But the amount of energy and effort leading up to a weekend he wanted to go down there was so much friction. So what he eventually did was he hired someone to obviously clean the place, take care of the lawn, but even someone to say, hey, here's the list. I want to show up. I want my groceries to be there. I don't want to have to go to Costco or the grocery store before and then throw everything in the car, drive it down, unload everything, and then do all this cleanup. He said the value of the lake house for him is just being able to be there and make memories with his family. And the more friction there is, the less that robs him of that joy. So he's tried to outsource as much of that as he can so he can just show up and participate and be there and create the value and the memories he wants without having to do all the mental gymnastics to coordinate the logistics of what it's going to require to be down there.
I cannot tell you how many families that we've worked with over the years that our families tend to have multiple properties. And that is exactly what they tell us. You know, we want to go to the mountain house. Gosh, there's so much work to be done. And every time we go there, we've got tree mitigation to do and the house needs to be cleaned and there's so much work to do. I feel like I just go there to work. And that's not what we
Absolutely.
bought it for. We
No,
bought it to
not at
go
all.
and be a family and enjoy. And when we say, yeah, we can take care of that, they're like, oh, you mean I wouldn't have to coordinate people? They're like, no, that's the whole point of having someone to help. We take care of that for you. You show up.
I've seen it so often
Yeah.
going to other buddies' mountain houses. Yeah, just having
Oh
to
my gosh.
projects. And it's like they're spending
They
their
don't
time
stop.
working on the property, not
Exactly.
enjoying it. It's just another
Yep.
job we've given ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, if you are of an entrepreneurial spirit, there's a good chance you have multiple business irons in the fire as well. Tends to be the norm when you get into business and start growing. There's, oh, we can do this, and then there's this over here, and then there's this over here. And forget about the fact that you've built a estate, you've built your own personal wealth. I think people tend to forget whenever you build your personal wealth, you've built another business effectively, right? Like I always tell people, I say we run the business of the family so you can go run the family business because
That's right.
by the time you've accumulated properties, you've accumulated wealth, you probably might have kiddos, you have a partner, you're traveling, you're trying to enjoy what you've built. And all of this other stuff has to be managed. The yard's got to get mowed, the bills got to get paid, the property taxes need to be handled. You know, it's just all of the things. And so while you've done so many exciting things and you've built this incredible business or businesses in a lot of people's worlds, you've also built this business and it is the business of the family. And so having someone like a White River, having an EA through a group like Superpowers to be able to help run the business of the family can mean the difference of you're going to the mountain house, you're going to the lake house, and you're there to enjoy it and enjoy the time with your family, not work on
Absolutely.
projects.
That's right. Yeah, we see that with our clients. There's one of our clients, Bo Barron. He's really I think the living epitome of the brand promise of Superpowers. You know, being in commercial real estate, having multiple properties and assets. Even my own broker, he's got a lake house, and he's like, I'm going to the lake house, and we're on the boat. In the back of his mind, he's thinking about, I'm going to wait till my daughter goes to bed, and then I'm going to get caught up on email. Right. So not only is he not present in the moment while they're on a boat, they should be enjoying the moment. He's already thinking ahead. And then he's spending that, what should be free time, right? A free day, time which you create relationships, re-energize. He's stuck thinking about work because he doesn't have the support. And what I've seen with Bo and a lot of other of our clients is having that support has been instrumental in them freeing up their minds. Oftentimes entrepreneurs are classic visionaries. They live in the 30,000 foot view. They're always thinking about the future. They're thinking ahead. Generally, usually most of them are not big into the details. They focus on outcomes and the high level view. And having someone to support you in your business or support you in your family life to handle all the minutia that you're probably not good at, the things that drain you of energy, are going to allow you to actually level up and grow in your business and in your family life. And so having someone from Superpowers, having someone from White River, those are the key things to really like, I think, shift some of those perspectives. And seeing Bo, I mean, I was on his podcast recently, and he just talked about how much Alice has just changed his life. She said just the stress that got taken off of his shoulders, because he could be away and not worried that the business was going to fall apart, that the emails weren't getting responded to, the contracts weren't happening. And then on the family side as well, it's like making sure like the bills are getting paid, making sure that the tax are getting paid, making sure, if you have trust, if you have all these assets, all those things are getting managed. It is just truly a freedom that people don't realize. And as their life has more complexity, the thing we're trying to build, the thing we're trying to enjoy, we can become kind of almost a slave to it because we can't let go of those things because we're so entrenched in all the day-to-day stuff. And that's where someone from, I think, Superpowers and Right River can really like change your life.
Yeah, you really do. By the time, a lot of times when families come to us, they are to the point that I just need help. I need help. I don't even know what that help looks like. I just know I need help. Tell us a little bit about, because this is one of the things that I know Superpowers does really, really well, is this feedback loop between the person or the family and the EA. Tell us a little bit about how you guys have mastered that back and forth, and right, because we're all different personalities, and I personally found it incredibly comforting when they're like, no, you're the entrepreneur. I know you're a little bit crazy. It's okay. We're good. We got this. We're gonna roll with it. And I felt so seen and so heard whenever I'm like, squirrel. And they're like, I got you. You're going to come back to it. And then I'm just going to move back up to that note. And then we're going to have this conversation about it. It was amazing. So I want people to hear how you train your folks to integrate in and really, let's face it, educate the entrepreneur, educate the person to bring them along. Like that's really what was happening. That these people were pulling me along, but it was done so well. So talk to us a little bit about how that process happens.
It's interesting you share that. I think first off, a lot of people have a reservation about bringing on someone to support them because the mental roadblock is I'm going to be hiring someone that I have to manage and I have enough people to manage. So the idea is, how do you find someone who is actually a anticipatory, proactive, kind of forward thinking, we say looking around corners for you. From me being in food and beverage, I use it from a hospitality perspective. So Danny Meyer wrote this great book called Setting the Table, and then his protege wrote Unreasonable Hospitality. And what he says is, if you go to a restaurant and your water is always filled and the food is cooked at perfect temperature and the lighting's proper and the music is right, that's customer service. That is the technical delivery of what we do, right? So from an EA perspective, it's like, yes, my emails are getting answered, my calendar is managed, I prepare for my meetings, et cetera, et cetera. All my minutiae is getting taken care of. But hospitality is focusing on how we make people feel, right? So in the restaurant world, you come in a restaurant and someone sees this, Chrissy, great to see you again. So glad you could be here with your family. Would you like to order the same thing you ordered last time? And I've already got that bottle of wine ready to go. I've been decanting it for you. It feels like magic, but they're actually planning, they're thinking ahead, right? So a great EA, a great home office, integrator is someone who's thinking ahead, someone who's anticipatory. So what we do, part of our process, number one, is we actually not just train initially, we actually go through a rigorous vetting process. So we use personality analytics to, one, identify, do they have the raw DNA and qualities to be a successful EA? We're looking for high detail orientation, instincts, and not wait to be told, what we call batteries included. So one,
yes.
Do they have the DNA for that? Do they have batteries included, right? They're not just going to be waiting for direction. The next thing we do is we take them through this rigorous process of actually stress testing them. So we throw as much ambiguity, we throw chaos at them, and we see how do they respond. There's an interesting one of the questions that like interview questions is your entrepreneur is about to go into a meeting and they have a flight at 7 p.m. They're going to be unavailable for the next 2 hours. And they've asked you to book an earlier flight because they want to get home to see their family. What do you do? And the scenario is the earlier flight is 6 o'clock. Maybe it's too close to the meeting. What do you do? The only wrong answer is wait for my entrepreneur to get out of the meeting. What we're really looking for is how far did you think that through? I've mapped it out. I've looked at traffic. I know that he's not going to make or she's not going to make that 6 p.m. flight. So what I've done is I've kept the flight at 7. I've informed the spouse. I've informed the family. I've booked the Uber. I've actually planned out his dinner so he can eat. And I've let everyone know. The main thing is, did you think it through and do you have a solution you've teed up? Right? So just training that anticipatory mindset. And so once they've come through that, then we've got a curriculum that we take them through, Superpowers University, where they go through and they understand all these aspects of what it takes. And then where I come in is like, I work with the entrepreneur and help them think about where are their delegation roadblocks, right? Where are they maybe not transferring context? And then we have different tools and frameworks that we share to optimize. And so we have a 90-day process. The first 30 days is where they get to know you. Like, let me understand what's in the entrepreneur's world. Let me understand like who the top people they want to communicate with, who's their family. And then there's an understand you phase, which is in the next 30 days. And then the last one is anticipate you, where they should be showing signs of anticipating, signs of looking around those corners. And so there's ongoing curriculum. There's ongoing coaching, right? So they have a stable of coaches that coach the EAs. We record everything. So we're capturing as much data and analytics as we can. And then using that data to really kind of assess almost what we call like a telemetry to figure out what are the key pain points, and then how do we go and diagnose to make sure that the partnership continues to trend. And again, it's not a perfect up and to a right, but making sure that partnership is trending to where more of that anticipation is happening. And so that's a little bit of kind of how we do that. But a lot of it is in the early stage. It's vetting that batteries included, stress testing. It's really an evaluation, not just training. So evaluation first, then there's going to be ongoing training curriculum throughout the journey.
Yeah, that batteries included, man, it makes such a big difference. And thing around corners, that can really, we've certainly found that when we're working with families, and I found that with my Superpowers EA, we tend to move very quickly. There's a lot going on. Families have a lot going on. And that other person, it is so incredibly important that they have the ability to, I call it listening between the lines, literally listening for what's not being said. And
Absolutely.
based on what you know about this person or what you know about this family, and thinking, okay, well, if this happens, then I can see what those ripples look like, a few corners around. You can save a family so much time. You can save an entrepreneur, in this context, one and the same. You can save them so much time and energy, and a lot of times money too, just by saying, if we do this, we can, but you've also got this over here. And I think that might overlap, which would mean we would have to change flight schedules. We would have to do da-da-da-da. If we don't have to do that to begin with, because someone looked at the calendar and said, actually, I don't think that's going to work. Everybody just saved themselves time and bandwidth. And at the end of the day, that's what everybody is looking to get back, to be able to have that time to spend doing things that they want to do, not the things that they feel like they have to or should be doing.
Yeah. And I think what's key in what everything you just shared is like, again, going back to like, if you got to spend your time every day doing the things that you love, doing the things that give you energy and you get great results, like your days are going to feel like, it's not going to feel like work. It's going to feel like play.
Awesome.
You're going to love it. And the less of the things that drag your energy down, the things that you're not good at, Like we should 100% outsource those things. One of my really good friends, he's a serial entrepreneur. And after he exited his company, I remember he shared something with me. He said, you've heard the old adage, take your weakness and turn it into a strength. He says, I've never subscribed to that. This is before I understood like unique ability and zone of genius and all these things.
Sure.
He said, I've always tried to focus on what my strengths are and just stay in that lane. And I either partner, hire, or outsource all my weaknesses. And that has served me well in life because it brings me more joy. I get much better results. He said, even if I really focus really hard on what my weaknesses are, I may go from, incompetency to some level of competency, maybe proficiency, but I'll never achieve mastery. So I'm spending too much energy and effort doing the things I'm not good at. Being able to be properly supported, I think, is the key to being able to spend more of that time in that superpower, as we call it, or unique ability.
That zone of genius. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. All right. As we wrap up, I hope that everybody listening found a few nuggets to pick up along the way, just as I always do, on how you might think differently about having outsourcing, partnering, hiring, whatever that looks like for you. I hope that you've picked up a few nuggets on interesting things. And if nothing else, just a curiosity to say, I wonder if that could be better, and think, I wonder if I know someone who can put me in touch with someone who can figure out how to take this friction away, how to make this better. Because the reality is they probably do exist. Just because you don't know about them doesn't mean they don't exist. So get curious and ask yourself, are you the frog in the pot boiling water? And can someone be your bridge to get out of that boiling pot into a nice, lovely, ice bath, if that's where you're headed. Whatever your personal analogy is.
I love the ice bath. That's great. Baths are rejuvenating. So
Terry, any last words of advice, words of wisdom that you would want to leave folks with from this conversation?
The main thing is, we want to talk about is, when do you raise your hand? And I think once you start seeing surface area increase in your life, when you see complexity, that's probably the time. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you've got too many fire extinguishers, that's usually the perfect time to seek out support. And we try to make it a frictionless process. I think you probably do the same thing. The easiest thing is just like, if you're interested in it, I just book a discovery call on superpowershq.com. And all you're putting in is your name, email, and a phone number. And they'll book it. They'll actually send you some type of personality survey. And if anything, the worst that comes out of it is whether you choose to want to use superpowers or not, you'll see and understand where maybe there's some gaps for you to get support. And then you'll get some awareness of how you're uniquely wired. So you can find who is to complement you. We always say we want to clone ourselves, but the reality is I don't need another one of me. I need someone who's going to be the opposite of me and fill in my gaps. And so book a discovery call, and then you're going to be able to get some type of personality analytic that'll show you kind of who you are. And then just have a short 30-minute conversation with someone to walk through and see where some of those pain points are.
Love it. So we are going to link to all of Terry's contact information, superpowers, down below in the show notes. So yes, if nothing else, you're going to walk away from that conversation knowing more about yourself and how to think about that other person. I always say, hire people who are better than you. Why would you ever hire someone who is like you? You need people better than you or different from you. So that's the ultimate flex right there. Terry, thank you again very much for the conversation, for the friendship. Truly, I'm so excited we got to have this podcast today because there's just so many amazing things in this world, and there's so many amazing people to be able to do the things that are not in our zone of genius. And it is theirs. That's right. The key, right? And so I hope that everybody else has enjoyed this conversation as much as I have. And again, thank you very much. Folks, if you are interested in getting in touch with Terry, take a look at the show notes. You'll catch it all there. And we will catch you next time. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Thank you for joining me today on the Family Office Success Podcast. I hope you found this conversation insightful and valuable as you navigate the complexities of family office services. If you're looking for more ideas or resources or want to explore how we can support your family office or your family through services and training and strategy, connect with me on LinkedIn or visit our website at whiteriverconsultants.com, and be sure to subscribe to our newsletter for updates and expert insights. And if you're ready to take your family office to the next level, consider joining our mastermind where we can help you manage that chaos and create better outcomes for the families you serve. Until next time, I'm Christy Van Wright, and this has been the Family Office Success Podcast. Take care and keep building for the future.